Alright guys, today is Tuesday, October the 27th, and we are once again going to be teaching you all through a video lesson. After this lesson, you're going to be completing the handout 13A, which is found on Google Classroom. And after you've completed that, there will be a plotline video also on Google Classroom for you to watch. And after watching the video, you are to take the plotline quiz, which is also found on Google Classroom. Now, we highly recommend that you watch the video before completing the quiz. So we've already talked about the focusing question on how is Bud transformed by his journey, and today we are going to go deeper into this question and talk about it. So let's think about it. This is a quote found on page 190 of Bud Not Buddy. Miss Thomas said, "I don't doubt that at all, Bud. I'm not worried about your body being strong. I'm more concerned about your spirit. Lord knows Mr. Calloway is going to give it a test," found on page 190. So what is Miss Thomas saying? How might you restate this quotation in your own words? So go ahead and pause the video, take out a sheet of paper, and restate this quotation in your own words. What do you think Miss Thomas is saying to Bud in this event? So your focusing question for lessons 11 through 16, which are going to be the same, is how is Bud transformed by his journey? The content framing question for this particular lesson is, what do Bud's actions in this section reveal about his character is changing? How is Bud changing throughout the story, and how has he changed in this part of the book than in the beginning of the book? And your craft question is, how do introductions work in a two-stick explanatory essay? So for our launch today, we're going to start with a discussion. How did Bud's journey change in chapters 15 and 16? Pause the video for a second and think about it. How has Bud's journey changed? So some ways Bud's journey has changed in chapters 15 and 16 is Bud has been invited to live at Grand Calloway Station. He can stop moving around and searching for his father. Okay, so Bud has been given the opportunity to live in Grand Calloway Station, which is Herman E. Calloway's home. He's been invited by Miss Thomas and the rest of the bandmates. He also doesn't need to worry about being homeless anymore. He has a home and a family. Okay, so that it may not be the particular family Bud was looking for, but he has been given a home, a nice place to sleep, warm clothes, good food to eat, and of course, good company from Miss Thomas and the bandmates. So let's review that quote from the welcome about Miss Thomas telling Bud that Mr. Calloway was going to test his spirit. So what did Miss Thomas mean when she says Mr. Calloway will give Bud's spirit a test? What does it mean when someone puts you to the test? Pause the video and think about it for a few seconds. Miss Thomas means that Mr. Calloway will be mean to Bud and try to get him to leave by being hurtful. So Bud's not actually being given a test, like a multiple choice test, like our quizzes, or even like some type of assessment he has to fill out. The type of test that Miss Thomas is talking about is a test of faith or a test of resilience. How much can Bud take of Mr. Calloway being hateful towards him and hurtful until he'll eventually leave? So that's the type of test that we're talking about. So how has Mr. Calloway already tested Bud's spirit? Let's talk about that for a second. How has he already tested Bud's spirit? First, he has threatened him by saying he's going to find out what his game is, which is found on page 179 and 180. And Mr. Calloway is threatening to send him home. So Mr. Calloway does not believe Bud when Bud keeps saying that he is his father. And so he's trying to find out what his game is. So when someone says what their game is, they're talking about what their plan is. Mr. Calloway wants to know what Bud's overall plan is. Why is he even here? What is he coming at? Okay, what is he wanting out of it? What does Bud want? And Mr. Calloway is threatening to send Bud back to the home, back to Flint. So what do Bud's reactions to these tests reveal about his character? How has Bud reacted each time Mr. Calloway has said something hateful or has threatened to send Bud home? How has he reacted? We realize that Bud is resilient. So that means he does not give up easily. And he isn't hurt by Herman's threats. Okay? He just lets it roll right off his back. He doesn't let it get to him. And Bud is brave and curious. So even though he's in a strange place, Bud is brave and he's not showing any fear of being in a new place. He's curious. He wants to find out his connection to Herman E. Calloway, and he's not giving up easily. So now you're going to move on to your handout 13A. And this is where we're going to contrast the night Bud spent in the shed at the Amoses with the night Bud just spent in the little girl's room to analyze how Bud has changed in his journey so far. Okay, you're going to fill out handout 13A and you're going to turn it in through Google Classroom to get a grade on it, okay? So you're just contrasting the night Bud spent in the Amos shed to the night that Bud spent in the little girl's bedroom. Okay, how did Bud act when he was staying in these places? What was his emotion? What was around him at the time? So just contrast those two nights. And then finally, we're going to be filling out, we're going to be completing a plotline quiz. So you're going to watch the plotline quiz video that will be found on Google Classroom on the Lesson 4 1027 assignment. Okay, it's going to be a YouTube link. And then after watching the video, you're going to complete the plot lines quiz found under Module 1. Now, I highly recommend that you watch the video before you take the quiz. Okay? If you have any questions, if you are one of Miss Rodas' students, please feel free to email Miss Rodas, or if you are one of Miss Maddox's mine, you may email me. Okay? If you have any questions, you can email us, send us a remind, comment on one of the Google Classroom assignments. Any way you can get our attention to ask us a question. Okay? And that's all we have for you guys, and we will talk to you Wednesday. Bye.